hmm, a little. So we're going to talk about Kiki Wyatt versus Nick Cannon, um, and all their many babies. We're going to talk a little bit about Kanye West, and we're going to get on some issues, not specifically about Will Smith and Chris Rock, but some of the issues that are brought up in these comment sections as people begin to do their think stories and such on social media. And then we have a special guest today. Miss Poets for Dinner herself will be joining us shortly. And then we may have another special guest all the way from Switzerland. If the timing may be a little issue right now, but he may be here a little bit later. But I wanted to start off by saying, and I think this pandemic has been my uh, push into self-care and making sure I'm good, and my cup is full and I'm doing the things for me that I need to get done and not just pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. My requirement now is any relationship that I have, this is a mutual situation. I'm not about everything being even or I think my computer froze. Can you still hear me, Monty?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm really a stickler for self-care and making sure you are good and making sure we are good, our individual selves. I think too many of us continuously pour out and we don't count that cost. It costs something. I don't want to get into the semantics of what everybody else was talking about with, say, Will Smith and Kanye, but I do want to get into some of those outskirt type of conversations that are being brought up about mental illness, about Black men, and how we are often perceived as these animals. And the moment we make a mistake, that's it. And you know, I don't blame Black women. I don't blame Black men. I just blame community. You know, we have to learn how to give grace and have understanding for individuals and not just when they're doing their best or when they're at their best or when they're giving us their best, but at all times. That's not to excuse bad behavior or unprofessionalism or any of those things, but it's to give grace because at our worst moments, do you want a camera in your face? Do you want to be the butt of a joke? Do you want to constantly be treated as if you're not human? And because you've reached a certain level of success, because people have indirectly poured into your pot of success in terms of support and watching your movies and so on and so forth and buying your music, that gives them a right to be able to measure and dictate when you're human and when you're not human. So a lot of those things we're going to talk about today, but without further ado, I want to bring on Miss Grace Gibbons.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Fantastic. You know me, I'm a clapper, so everybody else who don't know, I clap for everything. Like, I'm just so excited. I miss my Nate. I miss Big Soul's radio. I miss the conversation and how you care. You just like, no, we're going to talk about it. We're going to tackle this conversation. We're going to get some truth. We're going to get some healing, and we're going to develop as a community together. All right, I'm here for it, baby. I'm here.
So if y'all don't know Grace Gibbons, she's a poet, a published author and poet. She's also in charge of and founder of Poets for Dinner. It's an open mic series that she does once a month. Or if you pay her to come to your space, she'll do it in addition to that. And she feeds people. I always tell a story. I knew about Poets for Dinner for way longer before I start supporting it. But I am a Black person, and I'm like, I'm not eating nobody's food. And then I think at that time, you had to bring a dish, and I was like, what kind of event is this? But when I was reintroduced to you and Naja, and I began to come back to, I actually came to it for the first time. I was really excited about a space. First of all, that fed you, and good food, that if I may say so myself, but also an environment that wasn't about clicks, wasn't about a popularity contest. And Grace has this thing where she hugs people. And I don't really do all that all the time. But I allowed it, her and her mom, I allowed it only because I saw the work that you were doing unselfishly. So I was like, well, I can bend if she's bending this. So
I guess I can give you a hug. I remember you was like, I guess, like you were so reluctant. Like it was so beautiful how reluctant you was, because once you finally gave me a hug and I gave you a hug, you was like, okay.
You know, like, and I'm not big on like your energy not good, but everybody don't share. And one, I come from a family we don't hug like that, so it's naturally in me to be a little distant. But also, everybody is not deserving of your space, so sometimes I have to see it. I'm a Gemini, so I often have to see and analyze my surroundings before I get comfortable. And I still participated, and it's been a number of years, and I'm really glad that she's kept it going. It's not easy. A lot of this is due largely through her pockets, and then the donations from others and the support from others. But she is celebrating her 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we'll be live with you all. It will be in the building supporting her as well, working out some other details in terms of us going live there and being able to interview a number of the celebrities that's going to be coming by there. And I'm really excited. I love when someone perseveres and they are consistent. And consistency is key. When it get hard, you can't give up. When it gets costly, you can't give up. And it's really it's for all of us to really begin to support the things, and not just because it's something popular,
right?
Or Grace has invited a special guest that everybody like support, and you never know what you'll get out of it. I've met so many great individuals because of it, and so many relationships, and I've been able to share my work, not poetry because I don't like doing that, but she will pick your name out and you never put it in there. Somehow that happens, but I definitely am here for it. So
we're gonna ignore the actual video footage I have of you performing poetry at.
She be filming people and you don't even know it. I think your sound went out. I think your sound. Can you hear him, Arnie?
Oh no, my phone started. I mean, my thing started freezing.
But there we go. There we go. We get you now.
All right, so it froze just in time, just to say.
I didn't know that there was footage. I don't recall said footage.
There's definitely footage. I gotta go in the archives, but I promise you, it's definitely footage of you doing poetry and acting, because you're such a very talented and wonderful actor. Like,
thank you. I try, and Grace is very supportive, so she will pop up at your event. I've seen her in at least 2 of my plays before, but she will show up. Sharon, oh no, I am a Gemini.
It makes sense, right? Everything about him makes sense once you realize he's a Gemini. It's like, oh
yeah. But people keep saying that to me, but they don't explain what that means. Please explain.
Well, for me, okay, it's the duality, the dual spirit, okay? 1 minute you might get the I'm reserved, I ain't gonna say nothing, Nate, and then you get the I'm saying the first thing that comes to my mind, like, why the hell did they wear that outside the house? They knew darn well it's after Labor Day and before Memorials. What are they doing?
I'm not that. I'm nice.
Yes, you are nice when you're on that side of your Gemini. You sure are the sweetest.
I think I'm always nice. I have the side of me that gets really direct, and because when I'm in my artist space, that's my work. And some people look at artistry as a hobby or something you do for fun, but I live like this. Like I'm in this new studio space 24/7 almost. And they probably gonna start charging me residential rent and in addition to my fee for being here every month. But I really I take it seriously, and I don't like when people mess with my time. I don't
Right.
like when people mess with other people's money, and I don't like all of that. I'm not that person. So if I work with you as an artist, I'm coming to you like your plumber will come to you or your mechanic. Like this is what
Right.
I do, and don't mess with my time.
Right. No, that's real. That's real, especially because you have the right to, especially how long you've invested your energy into it, how much you've invested into it, money and everything, like time, how much you sacrifice for it. Like people don't realize, like, okay, yes, you got this one product and you think, okay, this is it. No, you're not paying for the product, baby. You're paying for the years it took me to perfect my hand from shaking and not breaking your product while I'm making it. Like you're paying for the times I couldn't go out because I was busy trying to learn how to do this for, you know what I'm saying? No, that's real.
Or I couldn't afford to go out. It's because we spend a lot of money, even as performance artists, getting ready and preparing things. You're buying books and you have merchandise now. Like that costs money. And sometimes I can't afford to buy. Like I know throughout the pandemic, people really stopped talking to me because they came up with a t-shirt line or they opened up a restaurant. But I was supporting people. I can show you my credit card statement. I bought every t-shirt, every button, every time somebody opened up a restaurant or club, I was supporting them. But you can't. At some point, it has to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
You have to definitely reciprocate that energy because people can pour into you, but when that well runs dry, then what? That's one of the reasons I love Pause for Dinner because, it probably was only a couple of times where I couldn't afford to put money in there, probably because I just came from 2 other events. But I know I would put earrings. I put a pair of earrings in there, or I'll make sure I bring a couple other people that will support. Something like that. Those are the things that you have to think. It's not always about.
Baby, you introducing me to Miss Carolyn Robinson, honey, that angel right there. Like, listen, that was an infinite blessing on blessing on blessings on blessings. Cause I don't even have to like. I could just think it, and she's like, Grace, do you need this? Like, yeah. How did you know? Okay. Like, no, for real. And people don't understand even stuff like that count. But we neglect it. Like when we go out, we be very, very selfish. I don't know why we're so selfish in how we support too. You know what I'm saying? Like even if I support for whatever reason, today's society, like, okay, so I bought these earrings from Nate, so I'm not gonna tell nobody else because I'm afraid somebody else is gonna get. I don't know whatever it is, and it bothers me because it's like, why? When all you have to do, okay, you enjoy them, so share, take the picture, tag me, and it's not that much. You know what I'm saying? And
even get disappointed when that person isn't here anymore. They've had to close down their shop. You're like, they should have did better. They wasn't good with their money. No, you didn't tell people. You didn't share it. But it's the chicken or the egg because often it's not just the consumer that's the issue. It's the business, it's the artist, it's the entrepreneur because you have expectations for other people to support you. And I try to live my life without expectations. I didn't expect for you to say certain things or do certain things when you came on this platform. And for my family and my friends, I don't have an expectation that they help me, but I have standards. Like I have, I think one of my aunts is listening right now. She buys my stuff. My mother would pay full price for my stuff. Why would I give my stuff away when my mother, my sister, they pay for my stuff. Right. Why would I give it away or why would I cheapen it? So as a business and as a consumer, I have a responsibility to support. So I'm getting all these resources and ticket sales and I'm selling jewelry, but what am I then giving back?
Right.
And as a business owner, well, as the consumer, my give back doesn't always mean I have a check for your whatever. Right. Or as a consumer, I don't have I'm not giving you a blank check to just keep swiping my card every time you create something.
Right.
So it's a giving. And as an artist, I've had to be balanced in that. So I go out to other people events, but I also support other people as a business owner,
Right.
but I also, make sure I'm always there for people as much as I can be. If it's me helping you clean up at the end, because I may have had to buy somebody's stuff that was a vendor there. I'll do those things or come early to help set up. But we don't think about that as the consumer or the business. So
no, that's right.
that's
And I'm the type of person, like, honestly speaking, that's a part of the reason how Post for Dinner got started. Like, and why it continued is because I recognize, at least for myself, right, that hosts and artists and stuff, we aren't poured into a lot. Because, like you said, no, people accept it as a hobby or that little thing that you do versus it as a business versus it as a way of life. So I'm like, no, people are actually like starving out here, or like are literal starving artists solely on the strength of people like, oh, you got it together, and not everybody has it together. You know what I'm saying? And then in addition to that, my thing is when it comes to being the consumer and the producer, right? We ourselves have to create our own balance because no one else is going to do it for us. Everyone, of course, is always going to say support, support, support. And like you said, it's very, very seldom that you get that reciprocal energy, right? So because of that, we have to really sit there and set boundaries. Like, okay, for me personally, I literally had to tell myself, all right, I'm going to limit myself to 3 events. At one point in time in my life, I was at least 2 events every night. Like, to the point where I could tell you on any given day which open mic was going on, who was hosting it, who was featuring, without even thinking about it. To the point where I didn't even have time or even the energy to do anything for myself. So Post for Dinner started suffering, and everyone else was prospering because I'm sitting there, of course, bigging these people up because I'm like, hey, y'all, I'm going out tonight. Meet me here, meet me there. And meanwhile, people come to Post for Dinner ain't saying nothing to nobody about nothing, but they showing up, eating, and having a great time, and I'm grateful for their presence. But it dies with them, and that's what my biggest issue is. It shouldn't. In both sides, it shouldn't just die with the producer or the consumer. It's supposed to be a give and take, but it's also supposed to be a network where you spread out because your network ain't the same as my network. So even if one person from your network that's different from mine gets wind of it and they're like, you know what, I can fuck with this, that's one extra person that I probably would never had a chance of meeting otherwise.
And it was this, I remember it was this restaurant downtown. It wasn't like just a carry-out, but it was actually a sit-down restaurant. I think it was called Parthenon. And it was open 24 hours a day. It was like a diner in the middle of downtown, the only one in the downtown area. And I remember, like, I would take a couple of friends there, but I would take, people who I know wouldn't really support it that much. And one day I went down there and it was closed.
Wow.
And then I went down there a couple days later and it was closed still. And I was like, what's going on? And it had, a for sale sign. And I was like, man, what the hell? This was my favorite restaurant. But if I'd have told the people who I knew would support, would take them down there, it would have had more business. And they would have told somebody and took other people. And it's the same principle that we need to go by when we're dealing with businesses and the arts. You have to be able to support people and not just, some of my friends just buy my stuff and they'll tag me in it. And it's something that's small and minute. It may not seem that much to the average person, but to me, like it was everything, and I don't, when people come into my shop, I don't take the pictures. I wait for them to tag me because I want organic support. I don't want to force somebody into being a part of my marketing team or something. But it makes a difference when you're getting any return. But one of the rules that I think is very important is you have to treat people the way you want to be treated, but also make sure your cup is full and everything you have after that is what you give out to people. So make yourself a commodity and restrict access to yourself and don't give so freely that you aren't storing up enough for yourself.
That part.
That's my game plan now. I'm making sure my cup is always full as much as possible. And then I can help and then I can give, beyond that. And still, even saying that, you still go beyond for people, but you have a balance now. You have boundaries. So how does it feel being 10 years in?
I feel like I don't know. There's this fine line that I'm treading right now, right? And not saying that I'm an imposter, but I feel like a little bit of the imposter syndrome.
Not an imposter.
For real, like I do. I feel like how was I able to sustain this long? Like how did I get here? Like where is here? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like on the other hand, it's like, wow, I really went from a space of literally not being taken serious whatsoever. Like people was like, "Oh, look at little cute Gracie," to people like, "Yo, for real though, like, how do I get on your platform? Like, how can I get on?" And I'm like, "What you mean? How you get on? I don't even, I don't think it's like that. But if you feel like it's like that, well, let's make it like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like it's a surreal feeling. It really is, and one of the things that I've had to come to accept is a lot of people who I thought was going to still be here aren't, and I just have to accept it as a reality that not everyone was supposed to make it.
Let me share this with you real quick because it blew my mind, and a friend saw that I was kind of upset over this Will Smith thing, and she sent me this quote, and it's geared towards women, but she said, take it and make it make sense for you. She said, the woman you are becoming will cost you people, relationships, spaces, and material things. Choose her over everything. And this hearing that really gave me a perspective that was it just blew my mind. But while we're trying to get her back on, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com. 524, y'all better play that number. That's my birthday.
Got it bumping. I get high, and you been heavy on my mind. Baby, you ain't too damn fine. Not gonna let me hit it one time. I thought if I can get that back, then can find a way to make you mine. But you only fuck because I had drugs. I'm thankful for the drugs, so I just broke one out. I end up walking out just for a bleak.
Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BigExposedRadio.com. If you're watching us on Facebook, I believe you can see a little star button. We're trying to build up our views. We're trying to build up our presence. So definitely click on that button and it's going to prompt you to share. You can't give coin money right now, but you definitely can support us in sharing out the show and helping us to further expand our reach here on the Artist Exchange as well as on BigExposedRadio.com. If you want to donate, across the top, you'll be able to see the donation button. I believe that's on Cash App. I believe. I got that close. Yeah. Also, we have a couple things coming up for the Artist Exchange. We have begun to do a series of open houses here at Be Exposed Radio. So at the Artist Exchange. So every Saturday, we do a different pop-up shop where we feature a different artist. They'll start coming on as guests first, and then you'll be able to see them. So every other Friday, we'll have another artist on. And also this month will be dedicated. I'll be in a play at Arena Players come May, and it's called The Gospel Truth, where I am an interviewer, and I'll be interviewing various artists. So same music artists, gospel singers will be coming on the show for the month of April. Is this April? Yes, this is April 1st. That's why everything is crazy, because it's April 1st. I didn't even realize it. But can we get her back on? Can we hear her? Can you hear us? There we go.
Can you hear me?
Right. So I just said that. Did you hear what the message I said? I'm gonna say it again.
Say it again, but I didn't hear it.
So it meant enough, and I've applied it to myself. I don't see myself as a woman, people, but there's nothing wrong if you do. So you got to preface those things nowadays. But the gist of it was, hold on, pulling it up. There you go. The woman you are becoming will cost you people, relationships, spaces, and material things. Choose her over everything. And that the gist of that message was never more clear to me than during this pandemic, where a lot of stuff as artists, typically we're the ones that can continue to work, and many of us eventually figured that way out. But you understood who your clan, your tribe was. You understood who your family was. You understood who your employers were. You've really got a gist of everybody in the midst of all of this chaos that we've been in for the last 2 years now. And it really matters that we understand that, and we don't try to hold on to things that we should let go. And
right.
when someone's walking out your life, let them go. Calling them back will only mean you in that lesson longer.
Right.
In that cycle. So definitely take heed to the things that are walking out of your life, that you are losing control of, and be able to get it together and keep it moving.
I'm sorry if I look so distracted. I'm trying to find my laptop charger because it went from being on 25% with like a whole hour left to 1% with 5 minutes left. So, right. So that's why I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And that's probably why my video cut out earlier. But give me 1 second. Please keep going. But yeah.
I'm gonna get into some of the topics while we're figuring that out for Grace. So one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today, and a lot of my thoughts and the things that I talk about are based off of what I'm watching on social media and really in the comment sections, because as Black people, we can be very cruel to each other, and we can be very selective in our outrage. We're gonna talk about Will and Kanye a little bit later, but my first topic was between Kiki Wyatt and Nick Cannon. And Kiki Wyatt has shown over the years that she is a mother. She loves being a mother. She loves being pregnant. She's a powerful singer, a powerful performer. If you saw her in person, her talent is undeniable. But she's had a number of children by 2 husbands, I believe. And I think she's married to the 3rd husband, but she's had children with the last 2 husbands. And I believe it's 11 of them. So the child that she's pregnant with now, I believe, is number 11. And she disclosed on the internet how she found out through some tests that this child will have a few delays and developmental issues once it's born. And she's ready and she's prepared, as she's been for all of her children. And I believe she's lost a child even. And we don't know how many, if she's had miscarriages or whatever. But the comments that people were saying to her was very vile. And I'm a person, when I see people leaving comments like that, I'll go to their page and see, the comments that they make. And these people it looked as if they were very spiritual people. It looked like they were everyday people, young, old. And I had to sit back and I was thrown off by how they were attacking this young lady. Speaking of Kiki Wyatt, for having so many children, but on the other side, they were applauding Nick Cannon for being a dad to all of these children. And it's, I think it is an issue between, women and men of color, and how we attack each other online and in conversations and in the midst of struggle. And it's just, we have to figure out how one, to talk to each other, and two, how to deal with each other on a daily basis. I think Money, I think she's back. So I'm gonna bring Ray back on.
I definitely feel like there's a double standard. It's always been a double standard. You know, a woman has more than one sexual partner, like literally more than one. It doesn't even matter how many, just more than one, and she's a hoe. And if a man, he's a player. You know, if the man can knock up the world, well, genetically, the man can knock up the world because he can continue to, you know, reproduce all the way up until the day he died. But a woman got like a small clock, so it's like. During that time, you know, during that time frame, she looks and appears crazy because she's like, look, I'm running out of time. And then at a certain age, you know, I'm not going to be able to do it. But she looks crazy because she's out here looking for a husband. She's out here looking for somebody to have children with. But again, she's going with a small clock. You know what I'm saying? And people will call her pressed, and people will call her needy and all this other stuff. Or what's the new word? Pick-me's, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because she recognized that, again, her timing ain't the same as a man's timing, but yet, because she's looking for what was, in her mind, supposed to be like, you know, love or whatever, and it's supposed to be the security of the family and stuff like that, she's also still considered a hoe because if she don't get it right the first time, you know what I'm saying? Versus the guy who can literally never get it right and walk away from as many families as he chooses, and still... Yeah.
It's just, I always preface these conversations by being a black man, and I've never been any other race, not that I know of, maybe in a different lifetime. But that's how it is, and it's something that's happening to us that's beyond slavery. It's remnants of slavery and how we've been treated in this country, but it's beyond that because there's a evilness that we just and I think this internet world, and maybe because I'm in a generation where I grew up without technology, this explosion of technology, but as I became an adult, I also, like the end of my teen years, technology became more and more of a personal possession than it was with the school or to a library or something. And I'm just thinking the generations that maybe the generation behind me are now starting to get caught up in technology, and definitely everybody after me is starting to get caught up. It's already, they were born into it.
Right.
But it scares me to understand how, or see and hear and watch how we talk to each other and talk about each other. You know, and this side says this and that side says this. So all the topics that I have today is based off of, you know, how...
And they expect no reaction. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the thing that bothers me most is that they expect no reaction. They expect to be able to say, well, they're like, well, this is how I feel, and you're supposed to accept how I feel and hear it. And I don't care how you feel. I don't care how I made you feel. I don't care how small I have degraded you to. You're just supposed to accept it and continue to accept it.
And it's crazy because she's currently pregnant, and you're saying these things in her comment sections. You're sending her probably, I don't know if people still send mail to celebrities, but you're sending these things to her DMs and such. And she's currently in that space of being pregnant. And they were saying how...
And that's not already fragile.
Right. You're bashing someone, one, for having this many children, but also going through with a pregnancy where you know that child isn't going to have the typical life or an easy life. And not that being a black child, his life is going to be so easy anyway.
Right.
But that story really stuck out to me in terms of how the consumer, how the people watching on the outside have so much to say about people's lives and livelihoods, and how we go in some, and I don't know if it's just me, but it feel like we be making up stories that's not even out there, that as if we know these people, and beyond what they put out there.
You personally invested in it.
Really invested in it. And it's the craziest thing ever to witness, because I'm like, I don't even remember that information being put out there, but you just connected a dot and finished the sentence and just created this whole new narrative based off of your own personal experience. And it wasn't just men saying these things, it was mostly women that I saw going after her for having so many children. It definitely was men too, but beyond that, and I think the way we talk about people determines how we then are treated by the world at large, because they're watching our comments and then going after themselves. And I don't want to compare these two black men, Kanye and Will Smith, but I'm afraid as a black man in a different way than I have never been afraid before. And I've said that a lot over the last couple of years, and I have tried not to say it as much because I don't want to speak that into my existence, but I have a fear of making a mistake. I have a fear of being perceived in someone else's eyes the wrong way, because what would that mean to my livelihood? What would that mean to my freedom and my safety? And I'm just looking at all the comments that are continuously being made about Kanye, that have been made about Will Smith, and now with this new incident, we just don't stop. Like, at what point do we hold ourselves accountable to someone else's livelihood? Not even money, but just their life.
That's the part that bothers me too. Is because, like you said, it's really one mistake, and then all of a sudden everything is cancel culture or up for criticism. Everything is up for criticism, and it's like, okay, granted, I can't say what it's like to be Will Smith. I can't say what it's like to be Kanye. Okay. I can say what it's like to be in love, and I know people who have done worse for less. And I'm not saying that, one person is better than the next person, but let's be honest, I have seen people go crazy over crackheads. Like, so it's like, when we sit here and we are not in these people's circumstances, right? And act as if just yesterday we weren't ready to curse somebody out because they just cut us off in traffic. Like, we weren't ready to hop out our cars to go ham because somebody got too close to us and we're supposed to be keeping 6 feet apart. Like, this is the part that behooves me. That's one of my favorite words. It behooves me. You feel me? Right. Because it's like, when do we forget about ourselves? Forget trying to place ourselves in somebody else's feet. Like, when do we forget about ourselves and our short temperaments too? Because people be going off at waitresses and stuff.
Come on now.
We sit here getting mad and speaking on people's experiences who are in a whole unique situation. Like, let's be honest. I don't care what anyone says. The average person is not going to ever be in Will Smith or Kanye West's position.
And it's not because it's impossible, but because of your attitude.
Exactly.
The same thing, the same expectation that we put on them, you would never be able to do those things to get to where they've gotten to. Just like you said, people do, I'm gonna give this man one more piece of shine, and I'm never gonna do it again. This Saturday, I came in contact with a gentleman who made a very absurd, very rude, very disrespectful YouTube video about me, all because I wouldn't let him post in my group. Now, this happened years ago. I'm going to tell you, Grace, and to the world, I don't know this man. I only met him on Saturday. That was the first time I met this man in person. I knew who he was because he's always at an event running his mouth. He's always at an event pushing his agenda and just making a spectacle of himself.
Okay.
I've always stayed away from that type of person. That's why I didn't let him post anything in my group, because I wasn't going to be allowing that type of negativity and energy into something that I'm creating. So because I wouldn't let him post, because I saw the type of person he was in public, he made a YouTube video, and it hurt me. And I had to look at myself as human for the first time. And I don't know why I didn't think that before, but I had to address my feelings. And it's taken me a couple years to even acknowledge it, to acknowledge that I was hurt. And seeing him on Saturday, like, brought all of that back because I don't know him. And he approached me not even knowing who I was.
Right.
Ready to push his agenda, ready, once he found out I did radio, which he should have already known because he was trying to post in a group.
Right.
I mean, he was, and him talking to me, I had to come out and say to him, and thankfully I had two friends there, Tracy Jiggins and Troy Burton, that kind of pushed me to tell him what I really felt. And it wasn't out of fear, it's just I didn't want to open that can of worms. I was at an event with Black Arts District. Shout out to the Black to the Future event that I co-host with Shingia. But we were there, and I didn't want to be unprofessional at Turn Cafe, which we were in with Black Arts District, and it felt like everything was black that day, and I was like, I'm not gonna be that person. So now I don't know what Will was going through, but in my mind, this man who is much shorter than I was about to get his ass beat because he just kept trying to push his book on me, and I was like, sir, do you know who I am? And he had not a clue. So that released so much pressure in that moment because you don't even know who I am. So how can I hold on to this for a person that, with his attitude, the scenario, once I laid it out for him, he refused to take the video down. And the only views he's gotten for that video really is sharing it out to people. And I know that because there's no more views on there than when I last shared it out than that are on there today. So I wasn't upset for that, but it was just a space of, I understood, and I have an inner hothead. That Gemini thing is real. It's an inner hothead because he was in my, like, I didn't even have to extend my arm to punch him. That's how close he was. And I was like, sir, I need you to move back. You didn't have your mask on. You in my space. You're talking stuff that I really don't want to listen to. So just move back. And he wasn't willing to do that. He wanted to keep driving home his point and get louder about it. So I had to check my mental health because it is a choice. So Will Smith, in fact, had a choice. But I think you can only keep pushing somebody but so far before they click. Right. And nobody gets to tell you when that click is. Nobody can tell you how that click can happen. Exactly. And I just feel like we egg each other on, and as you said before, expect for us to be silent. And not say a word and not do anything. Now, I don't want to bring up your situation unless you're comfortable with.
I'm okay.
But you recently had a situation similar to this, and because you're public in our community, our arts community, and you're very honest, how was it for you dealing with this publicly?
Okay, so you gotta be more specific. See, that's the thing. It's a lot that be happening. It's a lot that be happening.
All I said, you can interpret that how you want to interpret it.
Because I'm trying to think of. Are you referenced? All right.
Well, that's the thing. Your marriage. You just lost your brother and your mom. Your business. You first had a breakup with your business partner. Like it's been a lot of stuff.
P game, right? When you first said something about like a similar situation, like the whole entire
I was gonna let you choose.
See, that's the thing. All right, that's why I was like, listen, social media land, understand my peoples. I love all of my peoples, right? But when you said it, the first thing that came to mind. But then I was like, hold up, you wasn't even there that night. That man featured, but we had a feature. His ex showed up, and she was not very happy about his friends that were present. And she performed and she made a scene. Even after she got off, like she even like walked up on dude, like swung on dude and all that. And he was the feature, you know. And her response and her apology was, you know, well, I had the platform where I said, you know, if you got it on your chest, you gotta get it off. And I'm like, look, all due respect, I did say that. However, there is a time and place for everything, because all you're doing is you're inviting the whole world into a space that you claim you don't want. Right, right. No one in that space knew what was happening between y'all except for y'all. But now that you have invited us and made us a part of it, now we had no idea we were supposed to be invited.
Yeah.
So it's like now the energy in the direction of what was supposed to be a positive night has been kind of shifted, right? So then it's like, what do you do to shift it back? And it's like not on that P Diddy stuff where it's like, okay, y'all, we gonna work it out. But it's like at that point you kind of like, all right, y'all, we gonna work it out in our own separate corners because y'all know better. But at the same time, like you said, do we know better? Because we don't know when enough is enough. What was the last straw? What was the button push? You know what I'm saying? And as a person who prides themselves on healing, because even with my healing, like you said, I'm going through a whole lot. Like I literally just lost my brother last Saturday, and that one was a hurt piece, especially because right in October I just lost my mom. So it's crazy because them two were literally connected. And me and a couple of my cousins been joking like my brother is a ride or die. He's like he gonna jump in the grave with her. He's not gonna let that woman get no kind of peace, right? But it's like you have to deal with that, and then still get on social media, right, and have people be in your inbox talking about, well, Grace, why didn't you show up for my event? Why aren't you supporting this? Why aren't you doing this? Like, I didn't already post this long ass message about I'm grieving this, I'm grieving that, I'm grieving this. Please excuse me while I'm gonna be absent for a while because I'm trying to self-heal. Mm-hmm. And like in that instance, you sit there and you want to be like, bitch, didn't I just say? But then you gotta remember, number one, the hardest part for us as human beings to do is to understand that each moment is fleeting, as in it's here and it's gone the next, but it has a lasting imprint.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. Because even though, like you said, for instance, the incidents with you and that gentleman, right? For you was so imprinted, but that man didn't even recognize who you was, right? But then as soon as you brought it up, then it became real again to him. Right?
Right.
Excuse me, that imprint is still there, even though the time has moved and passed or something. Like you said, for a second, he forgot about it. But as soon as you, oh shoot, I did feel that imprint. And that's the thing I feel like we as human beings have to be conscious of. And it sucks that it's that much weight, but what's the imprint we're going to leave on the next person?
But we don't get to say how heavy or light something is for somebody else.
Right.
And because I've never been any other race or culture, it pisses me off that people, we do that to each other and don't expect a retaliation. It's almost like you're bullying me, and then you tell me you better not say nothing.
That part.
And that's ring to a lot of us because many people have been abused.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's familiar. It's so familiar, which is why we accept it and why we impose it on other people, and anything outside of that is discomforting. For us to sit here and be honest and say, I am not okay with this treatment that I'm receiving. We look crazy for saying it. In fact, we become the monsters because we're saying we're tired of being victims. And it's so crazy because I literally just had a conversation like about this, like with a friend about this, because I was like, it's really amazing that you're upset because people are viewing you for the actions that you did. You're the one who destroyed this situation. No one else did. You did that. You chose to go out of your way to do this. And because people want the truth, you're upset because you don't want to admit your role in it. Because once you admit your role in it, then you already know other people's treatment of you is going to be different.
And then and so this situation with Will Smith and Chris Rock, I don't even look at Chris Rock as a bad person, and I'm sure he's not perfect.
Right.
And people, a lot of comedians are speaking out because they feel like they're being censored from every angle You can't say nothing about the LGBT community. You can't say anything about women. You can't say anything about disabilities. You can't. And now I gotta be a psychic and do research and figure out the people that's gonna be in the audience and if they got a medical condition. But humor does not have to be this.
Right.
And I think and this, speaking specifically about this situation, a lot of us, and not even about comedians rather, but we give things out because all of this is on my chest and I gotta expel all of this. And we don't count the cost of that because somebody is at the end of that. Somebody is at the brunt, the butt of that, whatever it is, whether it's a joke, whether it's your frustration, whether it's your bullying, whether it's you just being direct. I am constantly being accused of being mean because I'm very direct and honest. So don't ask me a question if you aren't looking for a truthful answer. Because I'm not a person that's going to tell you what you want to hear. But at the same time, I have to be prepared to receive information that my directness may have come off as rude.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. But it doesn't mean that that's what I have to believe. And we're in a space where if you don't believe what I believe, you are asshole.
That part.
You're disrespectful. And going backwards to that thing of abuse is real in many of our lives. Whether somebody get beat as a child, whether we were beat as a child, whether we were neglected or molested or treated badly, those things follow us. I don't care how strong you are, and I'm tired of people telling people to be strong. I don't owe that to you. I don't owe you a smile. I don't owe, because I used to always smile and I was pleasant, but then I began to allow myself to feel. And what happens if you haven't allowed yourself to be human for so long? Sometimes you can't control what emotion comes out. So there's been a long spot in my life where I didn't smile all the time. Where when people came in a room, I didn't greet them, and because I wasn't feeling it. But I don't owe you a good disposition. I owe it to myself, but I don't owe that to you.
Yeah, say that. I don't owe you a good disposition. I need that on a t-shirt.
It really is. So let's take a quick
you need to make some earrings. Make you some earrings. I don't owe you a good disposition, for real.
We're going to take another quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere. Like, share, subscribe.
Easy. MK. Shake it up. At the dice game, I hope I get in love. Got a bad bitch and she tryna fuck. Got a dog style stuff with rainbow runs. Shake it up. At the dice game, I hope I get in love. Got a bad bitch and she tryna fuck. Got a dog style stuff with rainbow runs. At the dice game, and I hope I roll a 7. Got a bad bitch with me, feel like I'm in heaven. I don't want no trouble, but I brought my Mac 11. And now I want niggas plotting, feel like they got me sweating. I just came for Easy.
I want to say the Academy Award goes to Dice Game because this gentleman said, I'm not going to let my circumstances determine my tomorrow. And I'm not going to say why, I'm not going to put it out there, but I'm just going to let you watch the video on BeExposedRadio.com. and understand why. But we're back here today on the Artist Exchange Radio Show with Miss Grace Lovin Givens. She is a phenomenal individual, and when I see people like yourself, because I'm not a cheerful, like bubbly person, but I've always been a happy person. But when I see people like yourself, it makes me think about me, and I always am concerned: are you being poured into? Are you being given the same love that you're putting out there? Like, what do you need? Like, I think about stuff like that. So if I randomly hit somebody up and ask them, do they need something, or can I help them with something? It's for that reason. I'm not good at.
You're real good at that, though. You are good at hitting up. Like, are you good? You need something? You are. Or you like.
I don't know what that feels like, because nobody is that happy all the time.
I sure. That's true.
When the cameras aren't on, when we aren't at an event, when it's not the last Sunday of the month, what happens then? If you didn't know, the Poets for Dinner is the last Sunday of every month. What is the location?
Currently, we are we're housed at the Soul Mansion. I hesitate because right now they're doing some repairs on the building. So next month for our anniversary, we won't be at the Soul Mansion for our anniversary show.
This month?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, this month. It's April. Oh my gosh! Happy National Poetry Month! Yay! Yes, it's April. Yes, this month. So yes, on April 24th, we will not be at the Soul Mansion. Stay tuned to find out the exact location. But to answer your question, long story short, I'm gonna be honest and say I don't have a lot of people who pour into me. I do have people, like a few good men, a few good people who, like, will check on me every now and again. But when it terms of being poured back into, like, I don't want to say, because I feel like this kind of sounds pathetic, but it's not. Like, I take what I can get. So, like, when I get the extra help at the events and stuff, and people like, no, Grace, let me take over for you, I count that, because that's one less thing I have to do. Or when people are like, excuse me, Grace, let me find, the next artist for you, anything like that, I count that as being poured into, because that's one less thing that's been taken off my plate. Like, prime example, Noah Stone, I don't care what anybody say, that is my man, 100 grand. Because that man, in the most depressed state, kept Poets for Dinner alive. I was not coming out to nobody's event whatsoever. I was not going out of my house. Like, I was going to work, coming home, and shutting off. Like, it was just a routine. And he was still out there saying, no, love on somebody, feed people. I eat Poets for Dinner every day, all day, whether he was down at the harbor or at different events. And that, to me, was like the major pour into me that really, really kept me going, kept me showing up every last Sunday of the month. Because I was like, if Noah can believe in that much love, then I can believe in it too. And honestly speaking, these days it gets harder and harder. So it's a lot of self-care. It's a whole lot of self-care. It's a whole lot of meditating, a whole lot of listening to affirmations, and people pour into themselves so I can learn how to pour into myself. I'm also learning to be more discerning in my friendships, because I'm trying to, recognize the fact that people aren't pouring into me, but I know how many people I poured into, even when my cup was empty. But I'm learning that, you're supposed to give people from the saucer, not even from your cup. You're supposed to give it from the saucer. So I'm trying to build my cup up until I even had the saucer to be able to give to anybody. But I know whoever I'm giving that energy to, they got to also have saucer to lean over to mine too at this point.
But Grace, and you have to sometimes allow people in to show you that. Not everybody is going to look like their intentions, and on either side. And what I see in a lot of us creatives, we don't let people in, and then we end up letting the wrong people in, because then we give in because we've never let anybody in.
That part.
So, and then we feel responsible for always being there for other people, but you gotta. I don't think you have an issue with asking for help. It's just when you ask. It doesn't always have to be an ask if you open yourself up. And I'm speaking about my journey and myself, but I think it's true for you and many other artists as well. We've done this so long on our own that when someone comes in to support us, we don't know what that looks like. So we're running them away because of how we've been treated before and how we're currently being treated and how honestly we treat ourselves. And that's why even some of the topics like today, it matters to me because some people just had such a gut visceral reaction to Will Smith doing this as if this is his nature every day.
Right. Like he was going around smacking people.
Right, before you even check. For somebody who's never done that, to do something like that on not only national TV, but live international TV platforms. Before I open up my mouth to you, I'm going to see if you okay first. I'm going to see if both of them are okay first. And not this thing where I have to choose the popular side. Because now Will Smith is this animal. And Jada Pinkett is this hoe. And Chris Rock has turned into this saint.
Mm-hmm.
And we misjudged all of them. Because just like Will Smith could have contained himself, Chris Rock could have looked out and saw Jada Pinkett was not laughing. Fuck if Will Smith was laughing, she wasn't laughing. And I equate that to us out on a local level. We do that all the time when we have a room full of people who were there on time, who bought something from the bar, who bought something from the vendors, yet we let our friends come in who are more popular on the microphone, if I'm equating it to your world of open mics.
No, that's real.
Or we treat each other like crap. We talk about each other, we gossip about each other, and a mentor of mine told me a long time ago, because I had this thing where I wanted to build my local support up before I started going after artists internationally. And she said, people can support you publicly because of how they react and talk about you privately.
That part.
Why are you trying to convince these people of how great you are and get them on your team if they don't even deal with you?
That part.
Just, I think a lot of this is our mental health. Go ahead.
Oh, all I was gonna say to that was something that was definitely a part of my growing experience, and I definitely learned that around year 4 or 5 the hard way. And I actually had to take a break because of it. Like I took a whole hiatus and everything because I was like, it was too much. I was relying on the wrong resources, like you said, relying on people who can't support me publicly because of how they talk about me privately. But publicly, they always accepted my support with no problem. You know what I'm saying? If I had something to give them, it's easy. Yes, Grace, you're amazing for giving me this. But what you're doing, oh, that's nice. That's a little, yeah, okay. It's a little inconvenient more so than it is a help or whatever, right?
And you see that when, I'm sure I've watched it happen to you, where people only come to your space to promote what they're doing.
Which is why I had moved to a point where it was like, okay, we're a commercial-free environment.
Yeah.
And that really like sent a lot of artists, big artists, flying away from my event. And I cannot tell you, well, I have to be honest, it's not like we suffered because of their quote.
They actually made room for people who needed the space. Your sound went out. But this, as she's fixing her sound, there you go. You back on.
But what I recognize too, and this is also why I started my message like at the end of the night, where I always say I'm grateful for the people who showed up and I'm grateful for those who didn't. Because when people don't show up, certain people you don't want to show up to your event anyway. yeah, they may be good ticket sales or whatever, right? But realistically, the quality of the event goes down because the energy that they carry with them is exclusive. And the exclusivity makes people feel alienated. And you don't want a space that's alienated. Let's be honest. If you, like, you yourself as a human being, I'm pretty sure everybody has felt alienated at one point in time in life. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. But yet we continue to do it to other people because we don't want it done to us. Which is really the complete opposite of how you accomplish that.
Right. But we don't see it that way. And I felt like I've had some shows that weren't in this vein throughout these last 2 years. But a lot of my shows was because I was discovering parts of myself that I didn't know existed. I had been suppressing. And I'll be 39 this year. And as I look towards 40, there were things that I had begun to make a list of that I don't want to do anymore. Like, I'm not going to take these things into my 40s. So I'm going to stop doing those things right now. You realize so much about people. Like, I put me first. And you realize that's a problem for people. It's a problem when you don't take the time that's normally dedicated to others and you make that about you. Now you're narcissistic. Now you are, conceited. Now you
selfish.
You're selfish. And my pastor told me a long time ago, you're in a selfish season. And my selfish season has been prolonged so long because I would still go against that and go against my better judgment and my needs to make sure other people had it together. And it's just doing something to me. Like, it really is affecting me mentally right now because I'm seeing how people are addressing a lot of these mainly like celebrity issues, but that trickles down to how we deal with each other. It really, I don't understand how somebody has never portrayed this type of behavior before. And they begin to do they did this one thing once, or they began to do this, and all of a sudden, yes, they've changed, but
right,
could have built up some type of trust in you where you like, something else got to be going on for him to do something like this. It's instantly, and in this incident with Will Smith, one, I want the white people to shut the fuck up. Just shut up. We don't care how you feel. We understand that this was your club for so long, and Will Packard has got into this and made it something totally different. I get it. But I am looking at the ones that look like us, the Wanda Sykes, many of the comedians, if not all of them, who has taken this selfish route because they can't pivot themselves. They can't think of anything that's not disrespecting somebody else. And telling a joke about somebody who came to a comedy club to laugh is wrong. Like, that's just,
yeah.
Will Smith came there that day to win an award, not visit a comedy show.
Right.
That's just where it is. And it's just something about how, and I know I sometimes make it about Black men, but we can't pretend like we never made space for Black men before. And men have been nothing more than a figure that protects me and it balances me so I don't look lonely.
Right.
Or just a piece of dick in a wallet. Like, it's that simple.
Right, and that's it. There's no other emotion to it. There's no other complexity. There's no other thought to it. You're right. That's how, especially Black men are treated. To even further, like, the thing that gets me even about the Oscars or whatever, right, is where it's seeming that was the only conversation that was had that evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because for someone to say, keep my wife, like, that means something, it wasn't just a one-time conversation. It wasn't just a one-time butt of a joke. And people talking about some years ago. No, niggas not holding. Even if he was holding on to it from years ago, some like you said, it's more than just okay. Will finally snapped, you guys. Okay, yes, he finally snapped, but why aren't we addressing the fact that guess what? He got some emotions. He got shit that he's dealing with that caused him to snap. We just automatically say, oh, he's too sensitive. It's not even about being sensitive. It's about
what if it is? Like, you're human. Every human has every emotion.
Right.
It's our choice whether we display them or not. And sometimes that choice is taken away from you. Like, it hurts me. Not that, like, what he did was wrong. It was wrong. And not just because it was at the Oscars. It would have been wrong if they were back in the dressing room and nobody else was in there. It would have been just as wrong. But you can't tell me that, like you said, I had a snapping moment a few months ago that took me through, like, it literally took me, I took 2 months off of this. I lost money, I lost time, all that, because I couldn't get it together right away because I don't snap in that way. Mm-hmm. And I remember that person, I could look in their face and say, I don't know this person. Because I personally didn't know me in that moment. But a person can only take for so much. And I snapped because there were conversations that I knew had already happened that I was absent from. Right. And for you to play in my face that way, I didn't know how to control it. And before I knew it, I was already up all the way up here with my volume. And I was like, oh, I gotta pull this back. But it had already happened. There's no taking that back. Right. And like I said, we don't know. Hollywood is not void of messy people. It's not void of gossipers and naysayers. It's not void. I remember Gabrielle Union came out and self-identified herself as a mean girl. Mm-hmm. So she was the mean girl. So was everybody that was in her clique. Okay. Because if you didn't participate, you listened, you applauded her, you laughed at the jokes. Okay. So he hasn't been doing this when he realized that they were going to be there that night because they haven't been to the Oscars for a minute. So how do you know he wasn't backstage running his mouth and Will heard it and decided not to say anything? You know, it just amazes me how we, at the end of the day, how we treat each other. Right. And I think it's getting worse. It's going to have to get worse before it gets better. And the whole point of this story, today, I don't want to wake up and somebody says somebody's hurt or harmed a Kanye, or Will Smith, knock on wood, has committed suicide. Right. I think the world would lose it if that happened. Because I'm the part that's behooves me is the after effects. It's the after effects. We think about our actions after something drastic has happened. Mm-hmm. The thing between the two, that wasn't drastic. Now, what if one of them did something to each other? Hold on, we have to take another quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com. Please don't have another ankle monitor. No, an ankle monitor.
It's been an open book, and it was time to write the story that God has been preparing me to share. Dear Tombstone is a glimpse into all of the hardest things that I've dealt with and that were sent to kill me, deter me, and delay me from fulfilling my purpose that God has set over my life. It is a journey down memory lane for me, but hopefully it encourages you to tell your story. It's now available on Amazon.
Easy. Okay. Shake it up. At the dice game, I hope I get in love. Got a bad bitch and she tryna fuck. Got a dog style stuff with rainbow runs. Shake it up. At the dice game, I hope I get in love. Got a bad bitch and she tryna fuck. Got a dog style stuff with rainbow runs. At the dice game, and I hope I roll a 7. Got a bad bitch with me, feel like I'm in heaven. I don't want no trouble, but I brought my Mac 11. And I don't want niggas plotting, feel like they got me sweating. I just came. Is it?
I'm so happy to see one of my Being Souls family members today. I want to get back on the station, but I definitely want to run my ad for my business on Being Souls Radio. They are attached to so many different businesses and great entities here in the city. If you have a business, you definitely want to put your business out there, commercial, shout out, anything, and sponsor one of the great shows that's on Be Exposed Radio.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I was saying congratulations to Benia. She hosts the show on Thursday nights. Definitely tune into her. And congratulations on her first book. We're going to have to bring her on to talk more about it. But we are here live with Miss Grace Gibbons, Miss Poets for Dinner. She is, I forgot to say, she's a chef. She's a published author, a poet, spoken word artist. And she just, it's not many people within this arts community that are genuinely themselves first and foremost, but give way more than they receive. Like it's not, that's just something that doesn't, you don't meet many people like that. And I've always been a fan, even before I physically met her and she came on my show and then eventually got her own show. We haven't forgot that your show is still on hiatus. We haven't forgot about that fact.
I love how you phrase that.
I'm just saying.
It's on hiatus because there's a whole lot of hope that it'll come back. Post for Brunch was lit though. Like I enjoyed the food.
We was live every day. Like
you feel me?
I would come down there just for that. Like if nothing else. To support, but definitely to eat. We had cooking sessions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can still do that. I mean, I'm just saying, but you know, it's up to you.
I'm just saying, you never know what 2022 is going to bring. I'm trying to create balance within myself, and that's because, like you said, with as much as I give, and by me not having as many people pour back into me, I have to find different ways to pour into myself. So currently, I'm working 2 full-time jobs. Me being off right now and being able to talk is really pure coincidence. Like, well, not coincidence, but it's based off of circumstances. Okay, it's circumstantial. But let this have been last Friday, I would have been like either in transition between jobs or trying to catch my 4 hours of sleep for the next job. Like when it comes to Post for Dinner, like people don't understand how much dedication I have to the mission. And like the mission is to make sure that other people feel loved. Like at the end of the day, it's to make sure you feel loved and of course to make sure you're fed. And a lot of people think that like when I talk about feeding people, it's just the food. Yes, I do give out free food and I give out other free resources as well. However, the most important thing that I feel like people need to be fed is spiritually, because that void is a different kind of hunger than anything else. Like food becomes an addiction because you're trying to fill a void. Drugs become an addiction because you're trying to fill a void. Alcohol, sex, all kinds of things become an addiction because you're trying to fill that void. You're trying to get that soul part of you heard, that soul part of you felt, that soul part of you to feel more than just unrecognizable.
Right.
And so like my whole mission is so that other people don't feel like once you feel that pain for yourself, I don't understand. Like, I understand people say misery loves company, but once you felt that kind of pain for yourself, that's the only thing that confuses me to this day is how can you feel that for yourself and think, gee, I should put that on to somebody else. Like I understand, like you said, you never know when somebody's like, you know, last straw is, but it's like, if you know what pain feels like, if you know what a particular pain feels like, to consciously put that on other people doesn't make sense. If you can avoid it altogether, but to just go out of your way to add misery to other people's lives, it disturbs me. So I go out of my way to add love to people's lives. That's my point. Because
then at that same time, you're putting that on them and putting also the responsibility of them keeping it together.
Yep.
So I gotta do all the work. I gotta get bullied. I gotta be pressured to keep it together. I can't respond. I gotta keep smiling.
And I got self-heal. And try not to teach the next person.
Yeah. And so for this 10-year anniversary, what can we expect?
The works, okay? When I say the works, like the works, I'm so excited. We got fantastic artists who are already signing up to headline. We have you who are coming. I'm so excited about having you back in our space, or whether it's the event or the interview. I don't care. I just like seeing your face, like your face in the space. Okay? I don't know. Y'all don't understand. Having Nate like in the back of the room, it just does something extra for me, because like he knows when I be on my bullshit and we just black eyes. He's like, girl, I seen that shit too. And it's just so weird.
I mean, I love the poetry, but I love to spectate. I love the people watch, and it's a very interesting room when these.
You don't know what you're going to get for real. You just don't know. And I love it though. Because guess what though? You can't have those quiet conversations with just anybody. You know what I'm saying? Those are the room conversations. I be trying when you're not there and other people be looking confused. They like, I'm like, oh my God, what are you talking? Like, I know y'all you just saw the unicorn walk across the floor.
but you have to understand, a lot of people do things and don't think that people see them, even in a crowded room. And I come to events just for those moments.
Yes!
That's my. I love the, like I said, I love the poetry, but that's my real true entertainment. It's just people watching. I love, and because I think probably because I'm an actor and I normally have to draw from what I've seen in others. But it definitely fuels me to watch people who don't think they're being watched.
Yes, the same. Like one of my favorite experiences, honest to God, is all the people who come in so skeptic and so tense and so balled up, like, oh, I don't know about this. It's free, you know. And like halfway, like not even halfway through their time being there, like not even a good maybe 10 minutes. They didn't already ate the food. They just sat down and like, hold up, wait. This was not what I was anticipating. And so speaking of stuff anticipating, right? So we're gonna have a drum circle. We're gonna have of course a live band. We're gonna have so many great things. We're gonna have swag bag.
Oh, man.
Yes, baby. Yes. It's our 10 years.
I got that PPP loan. Okay, come through PPP loan.
Guess what? I wish somebody would get a PPP loan in their name, because I'm not getting it. Go ahead and get in your name, and I'll go ahead and take the fund. But no, I will say this, okay? In the past, I have not been poured into, but I feel like my 10 year and going forward, people have recognized that I need to be poured into too. Like, I'm the strong friend, but the strong friend needs a strong friend too. You know what I'm saying?
The only open mic left. So they might as well.
I'm not the only one, but I'm definitely one of them. I'm definitely one of them.
Sure. Well, I count yours as the only one because all the other ones are exclusive. And they are, you know, they don't really promote it to everybody, but they want you to buy a ticket and come sit in the back and just watch. But yours is very interactive, very immersive, very for everyone, literally.
Labelless love. I call it labelless love.
Right. If you bring your child, they're going to be welcome to sing their favorite song, everything.
Yeah.
And it's just not, and that's one of them, because I used to go out as when I was in college. When I started going out, I was introduced to David from Fifth L and Danielle Fuller and Love went to Coppin. So I would go out to watch them perform. And or when the people from the Eagle Nest went out to Coppin at the Eagle Nest.
Okay.
When they would go out and feature or be somewhere, that would prompt me to go out and watch them perform. And I stopped going because it became where I watched artists get their feelings hurt by not being called, and they may have been the first one at the venue.
True.
You know, I really I respect the fact that you get a group of names and you muscle through and you try to call everybody so everybody feels like they are. I'm just gonna say, if my name wasn't put in the hat, I'm just saying.
Listen, I love sneaking your name in there. I do. That's one of my favorite pastimes. It really is.
Because it always comes at the very beginning. Like, how do you go first sneak my name in there and then pull it like second? Like, how do you even do that? You don't even get me comfortable where I'm like, oh, I want to do this.
It's the universe. It's the universe. You can't even blame. And that's why I love how I do it, because you can't even blame me. It's the bowl. The bowl tells us how the evening is going to go. I can't even see. I put my hand in there. I grabbed it. Like, honest to God, I've had like 3 people be mad at me, like legit angry at me. Because they was like, well, I was the first person here. And I was like, guess what? I didn't choose like who goes next. I'm literally putting my hand in the bowl. I didn't skip over your name, baby. I'm sorry. I done mixed it up. You didn't see me shook the whole thing up. You know, I'm sorry that you happen to be last. But the thing is, once they do go, it's so perfectly aligned with the evening. I'm like, I couldn't imagine you going up anytime sooner. You know, based on like even how people perform, like especially when you know, sir. So one of the beautiful things about when you perform, right? Like I said, you never know if we're going to get, you know, the human Nate who just gets up there and just tell us how you feel.
Oh, yeah.
The
I
acting.
was a teacher sometimes going ripen. I did a couple of ripe sessions.
And I needed that. Listen, we need that, okay? We need that. Like, we doing it. You said it. Thank you. You feel me? And then it's like, you know, the poet, we can get the poet Nate, or we can get the actor Nate, right? But whatever it was, even when it came to your acting, the monologues that you would do would just be perfectly timed. And then, like, the person who would come after you, it did not even matter. Like, I remember one time, I think you did, like, a monologue from, what was that play? The Boots. The one with the boots.
When the women came, Blueprint.
Right. No, remember the Sunday, the month before, you read a line, like you read like a quick monologue from it for us as an advertisement, because the next month that's when the women came and they did their excerpts and stuff, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that night, I don't know how, but somehow the subject was on specifically healing that pain. You know what I'm saying? And everything, but it wasn't like a sad type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely healing. It was definitely renewing and definitely refreshing, but it was just perfectly timed, because right after you, I believe it was like a sister who came up and she was.
Mm-hmm. Push the button on your thing again. Your sound went out. I'm just going, while she's fixing that sound, I'm gonna put my bid in for May of 2023. I'm going to feature that month. And I'm a challenge.
Comments.
Say it again.
Okay.
You can hear. Okay. So I'm challenging myself for May of 2023 to be the feature that month. I'll be 40 that month.
Okay.
I really want to because I stepped away from acting only because we live in a DMV and it's very cliquish. Comments? I didn't see a comment. Oh, I gotta scroll down.
Oh, I know.
Right. So, but yeah, I'm gonna put on your calendar May 2023.
May
May,
featuring.
and I might switch it up. I might do a poem. I might do a monologue. You never know.
I was gonna say, well,
Did you read them? Did you?
I don't know. I don't see any. It just says commercial. That's the last thing you wrote in there.
Exactly.
Oh, you said commercial. Oh yeah, you did. You gotta say it. Like, don't just write a word because it looked like what you wrote before. So I didn't even.
I've been saying it for 2 minutes now.
All right,
That's
so
why I kept typing it.
We're gonna close it out. Grace, give us the information for what's the 31st?
no, it's April 24th, bro. April 24th. Doors open at
31st.
No, it's April 24th, the last Sunday of the month, April 24th. Doors open at 5 p.m. For more information, please visit Poets for Dinner, spelled correct, poetsfordinner.com, spelled grammatically correct, or social media at Poets for Dinner everywhere. Again, spelled grammatically correct, because I went to this school and I know how to read.
And that's fundamental. Don't forget to tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to sponsor, if you want to be an advertiser, hit us up at either info@beexposedradio.com or the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. And if you want to be a guest, you can also do the same thing. This month is booked, so we're now booking for May. So come on out. I'm excited. I'm ready. A couple events that's coming up. So in May, I'll be able to play in arena players. And for the month of April, we have a number of guests coming through to do pop-up shops here at Best Shop New Jewelry Studio. So look for that. Thank you, Grace. Follow her. Her information is on IG, Grace Love on Somebody, or Poets for Dinner. And same thing on Facebook. Appreciate you here.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate you too. Oh, one more thing, y'all. I'm gonna be back on Be Exposed Radio tomorrow for
No, you're gonna be on I Am She tomorrow.
Yeah, on I Am She. I'm sorry, on I Am She. I'm gonna be on I Am She tomorrow, you guys. So make sure y'all tune in.
She may be back on Be Exposed Radio. She just said she doesn't know what 22 is holding. And I know me and Monty would look forward to brunch. And Monty has a pretty kitchen that he might let you cook in. You never know.
Ooh.
You never know.
All right, listen. I'm here for it. Either way, I'm here for it. Okay, we gotta get these sponsorship stuff so I can bring it back because I'm hungry.
There we go. Well, that's what. So we're gonna talk about that because I have a plan. So peace out, everybody. The Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BigExposedRadio.com. Check out our website at either BigExposedRadio.com or www.BigExposedMedia.com. Peace out.
Peace.